Welcome to this explainer. So I want you to imagine, just for a second, a dedicated teacher in a vibrant, multicultural classroom. They're working with a newly arrived student, helping them finally find their voice and really connect with their peers. Or think about how AI is right now completely reshaping the foundations of how we learn and assess languages globally. Applied linguistics is literally at the heart of these massive real-world shifts. It shapes learning, identity, communication, the whole shebang. But to keep driving this incredible change, the passionate folks doing the work, that's you, need a platform. And that means figuring out how to successfully navigate today's academic job market. So let's just dive right into it. How do we bridge the gap between world-changing language research and securing the academic career to sustain it? That is the million-dollar question we're tackling today. Because, there's often this huge, honestly daunting gap between the research you are so deeply passionate about and actually landing the position you need to sustain that work long-term. Crossing that threshold, going from a PhD student or a casual teacher to a full-time academic, it is notoriously tough. You might have the exact knowledge needed to revolutionize how adults learn a second language, but how do you actually convince a hiring committee that you're the perfect fit for them? Well, to kind of demystify this whole process, we're going to unpack some absolutely invaluable insights from ALAA Workshop 5. For those who might not know, ALAA, the Applied Linguistics Association of Australia, is this incredibly vibrant community dedicated to advancing language education globally. This specific workshop was hosted by Professor EP5, along with Dr. Ruri Oweda and Dr. Anthony Wotring. And what's really cool about Dr. Oweda and Dr. Wotring is that they actually sat right where you might be sitting. They attended this very workshop series the year prior, put the strategies to work, and landed their academic jobs. So they're here to share exactly how they crossed that threshold. Now, if you are deep in the trenches of the job hunt right now and feeling the sting of it, please know you are absolutely not alone. During the workshop, a recent PhD grad named Michael shared this exact frustration. He was saying, he gets rejections within like 12 to 24 hours, and he's just completely unsure of what kinds of jobs are even appropriate to apply for. Dr. Wotring actually chimed in and shared that he faced nearly 20 rejections over 2 years before finally landing his role at Charles Darwin University. The market is tough, for sure. It can totally feel like you're just firing applications into a black hole. But we're not going to dwell on the rejections. Instead, we're going to look at how to strategically beat the odds. And this brings us to what Professor EP5 calls the golden rule. He draws this really vital line between self-assessment and self-efficacy. Self-assessment is basically just a list of what you've already done. But, and this is key, hiring committees are actually looking for self-efficacy. They want to see what you have the potential to do. So, for instance, maybe you've never coordinated a whole unit or supervised a PhD student. That's okay, but you have to show you have the potential to do it. You could highlight how you mentored master's students or managed a really complex research project. You absolutely have to sell your trajectory, not just your history. Part 1. The trials, crafting your application narrative. When you're putting your application together, I want you to stop seeing your cover letter, teaching statement, and research statement as just bureaucratic boxes you have to take. They're not. They are really powerful tools to build a cohesive narrative about who you are. Let's start with the cover letter. This is your first impression. And as Dr. Watring emphasizes, it is definitely not just a copy-paste summary of your CV. It's a carefully crafted argument that proves you are a clear fit for the institution. Seriously, don't be afraid to show some passion. Tell them why you're excited. Dr. Wudea also gave a brilliant tip here. Use the cover letter to address practical stuff head-on. Things like your visa status or when you can actually start. Nip those immediate doubts in the bud right away. Structure is everything here. A highly effective cover letter essentially follows 6 steps. First, your opening, where you immediately signal that you align with the role. Second and third, you summarize your research and teaching profiles to show real, tangible impact. Fourth, and please, whatever you do, do not skip this, explicitly address the key selection criteria from the job ad with evidence. Fifth, explain your specific fit with their department. And sixth, a professional closing. It has to be tailored. If you use a generic, shotgun approach, your letter is going straight into that 24-hour rejection pile. Moving right along to the teaching statement. Remember that real-world example we talked about at the start? The teacher empowering the newly arrived student? Well, this document is where you prove that you can deliver exactly that kind of impactful education. Committees don't just want a list of what you teach, they want to know who you are in the classroom. It's kind of like a blind date. They don't know much about you yet, and they want to see if you genuinely care about the craft of educating and supporting their students.
A really successful teaching statement needs to nail these 5 core questions. First, what is your student-centered philosophy? What active learning methods are you actually using? How do you support inclusive learning? What's the hard evidence that your teaching works? And lastly, why is this specific university the right fit? Dr. Wootring is a huge fan of the STAR method here: situation, task, action, result. So don't just say, I value critical thinking. Show them exactly how you fostered it in a specific tutorial and tell them what the outcome was.
And honestly, the current shifting reality of academic workloads is exactly why this teaching statement is so vital right now. You've probably heard the term 40-40-20 split thrown around. Traditionally, that meant a job was 40% teaching, 40% research, and 20% admin. But, as Dr. Watring points out, the landscape is shifting rapidly. A lot of modern roles, especially for early career academics, are becoming heavily teaching-focused. We're talking a 70 or even 80% teaching load. Teaching is a massive part of what sustains universities today, so proving your capability and dedication here is just non-negotiable. Okay, let's pivot over to the research statement. If the teaching statement is about your impact in the classroom, the research statement is about your impact on the field itself. Going back to our AI example, if your work is all about integrating AI into language assessment, this is the document where you firmly link your past projects to your future trajectory in advancing global communication. It's where you tell a compelling story about how your specific scholarly identity fills a critical gap out there in the world. Just like the teaching statement, the research statement has 5 key questions to answer. What is your fundamental research identity? Why does it actually matter? What is your track record of scholarly productivity? What's your very feasible future agenda? And what is your potential to secure funding at this specific institution? You really need to weave a coherent past, present, future narrative here. And hey, even if you haven't secured massive external funding yet, lean on that self-efficacy concept we talked about. Show them exactly how you plan to extend your PhD project into a highly fundable piece of research. Now, zooming out from these specific application documents for a second, what are universities actually looking for holistically? Professor Ekpikidi makes a really great point here. Universities aren't just hiring a CV, they're hiring a colleague. They're looking for well-rounded professionals who can successfully navigate complex university environments, handle administrative project management, and smoothly adapt to an educational landscape that is changing by the minute. If you can highlight these kinds of holistic skills, it is a total game changer. It will absolutely set you apart. Can you collaborate across different disciplines? Are you staying on top of digital literacy, like, say, Alonza's recent webinars on AI and language education? Do you show genuine cultural competence and inclusive education practices? Can you mentor others, even if it's just guiding junior peers? And of course, demonstrating sound ethical judgment is huge. If you can naturally weave these varied capabilities into your cover letter and statements, it shows a level of maturity and self-efficacy that selection committees literally zero in on and deeply value. Part 2. The transformation. Building your academic community. Look, navigating this wild job market is not a solo quest. Trying to do it all by yourself is exactly how so many talented early career researchers end up burning out. You need collaboration, you need real, critical feedback from peers, and you need to network with people who just cross the threshold themselves. That is exactly the beauty of engaging with organizations like ALAA. I really encourage you to subscribe to the ALAA ThinkSpace channel. Becoming part of a vibrant group of researchers and practitioners is just so essential. It gives you professional learning, it gets you feedback on those application drafts, and honestly, it provides the vital moral support you need when you inevitably face a rejection or two. It grounds you in a community that is deeply committed to understanding and improving language and education in our rapidly changing world. We've covered a ton of crucial ground today, from the power of a tailored cover letter to understanding the new realities of academic workloads, but it all comes back to you and your unique, compelling narrative. Yes, the academic job market is tough, for sure, but your language research and your teaching have the profound power to change lives. So I'll leave you with this. How will you harness your self-efficacy and confidently bring your true potential to shape the future of language and education? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I genuinely wish you the absolute best on your academic journey.